Hi everybody, I want to welcome you to in the wood shop today. So what I decided I would do is I have tools that I've bought for my business, and some of them, when you buy them, all the reviews are great, so you get it and it just doesn't work for you. So hopefully I'm going to, with my tool reviews, I can kind of give you some better ideas as far as whether or not something will work for you, whether you're a hobbyist or whether you're a pro cabinet maker and installer such as I. So I wanted to kick this off with going through, first starting with my sanders. Like many people, start with the basic sanders that you get from the big box stores, right? Porter Cable, Milwaukee, DeWalt, all of those. And inevitably what ends up happening, as is in the case with most sanders, the bearing in here that's responsible for the oscillation dies. And when that happens, basically the sander is useless. So for many years I've just bought the Porter Cables or the Milwaukees, and once they were dead, I'd throw them out and I got a new one. Even when Festool first came along, the sticker shock for these tools were I think this was almost $500. So, and I believe this one was like around 180, whatever. But I bought these reconditioned, and I bought them reconditioned because I wanted to make sure that Festool was right for me. Not only as far as the claims of the dust collection, but if I keep adding to this collection, can I afford it, number one, and number two, will a better tool make my work end up being better? So went out on a limb. I wouldn't say a limb, but I caught wind that Festool was having their clearance sale on their remanufactured, refurbished tools, and I bought 3 of them. I bought the RO125, the ES125, and a MIDI vac, and I tried to keep it under about $1,000, and I think that I was successful in that because I also had to buy, or I didn't have to, but I chose to buy this the sustainer for the 5-inch abrasives. So with 5-inch abrasives, I usually start around, I start my work usually around 100 grit, and I work my way up. Usually finishing at 180 and doing ingrained at 220. I mean, I do have a box of 80 grit for the really hard stuff, but the one thing that's nice with this dual action or Rotex sander is when it's locked in gear drive, you can just hear that, right? That's a lot of power, and it really, even at 100 grit, 120 grit, it really gets the scratches out or imperfections that you're trying to blend in by actually making more scratches, as silly as that sounds. But one of the things that I wanted to kind of cover with this tool review, I've been using these for quite some time now, probably 2 years, and as I said, the main reason that I got these, one was just who wouldn't want to have them, and two was, let's see if it really does make my work better. So the big items with these two sanders, when using these two, I don't notice as much as I did with the cheaper sanders. The little curly cues that are really prevalent, and when you don't see it until after you stain, right? The two things that usually catch your eye after you stain something: glue and the little swirly marks. So what happens is as you're sanding, you can kind of tip your sander a little bit, you start gouging out some really big particles, and as you set your sander back down, it gets caught underneath the pad, and it makes the little curlicue, and the curlicue is basically the shape of the random orbit pattern. You just had a deeper scratch on that one, or you don't get all the you don't, as you go up through the grits, you don't get all that the scratches out from the lower grit paper. So with these two, and I know that this one here is a tighter orbit than what you would get off of a Ryobi, Milwaukee. Those at least there's no science behind that. It's just the way I feel when I see the work as the work's being done. As I see the way that the pattern looks, it's just tighter, a finer finish sander. As with that, you know, this honking monster here, you do the Rotex mode first. Start on 100 grit, you flip it over, and do 100 grit there, or use this. You just flip flop everything back and forth, your hose and your power cord. By doing the Rotex mode first in the grit, and then going to the orbit sander, the random orbit mode, you get a finer finish, and it's really impressive how it finishes. So for quality of work, obviously big thumbs up. You don't have a lot of dust in the air, so I can take these into a client's home if I need to refinish something, rather than trying to take a whole cabinet out and bring it to my shop or whatever. It's easier to hook these up to the back, get in there and do it, and have 95 to 98% of the dust contained in the back. The downside to these sanders are the first thing, and it's a little ticky tack issue, but as Festool has grown or gone on and developed new equipment, the plug-it cord has changed. At the time, these took it looks like a bat wing, and it's black, and as their tools evolved, the end of the plug is now white, and it's a flat back side where the other one had like a little ridge on the back side. So the problem with that is as you start to grow in the Festool collection, if you do, trying to remember that, oh geez, I got to have the right plug. And on my boom arm, I actually ran two different plugs, and then I realized, hey, dummy, the newer plugs fit the older plug-it receptacles, so it dawned on me, and kind of sad, but it is what it is. So like I said, that's a little ticky-tack thing, not anything that's earth-shattering there. The downfall to this sander, and only the Rotex, and this, like I said, this is the RO25. This is the 5-inch sander. As I'm sanding in Rotex mode, sometimes it'll jump, and it just, using the sander in Rotex mode is going to give you a workout. There's just no way of saying buts about that. It is. If it's a hot day, you're going to sweat your butt off, which is a good thing. A little sweat never killed anybody, but the thing that I don't like is how it jumps and it jerks. And so, obviously, because I own Festool, go to FOG, Festool Owners Group, and on there's on the forum, they describe this, and Eric at Poplar Shop has a video on the break-in. So I followed the break-in instructions, and it still didn't take care of that issue with the lurching, and that's the one true downfall to this. I use a lot of poplar I like to take the poplar and do some staining to it, make it look like cherry if I can, and so on and so forth for clients, because they may not have the money to buy something that's cherry, but if I can make it look close enough to cherry, they're pretty happy with those results. But anyhow, when I stand on something like the poplar over here, I'm afraid that as I'm down in that 100, 120 grit, and this thing takes off and it jerks on me, I'm afraid that I'm going to gouge the material to the point where it's really visible. On this project here, not so much, and it did happen. But as I kind of recovered and tried to get it smoothed out, it worked out okay. But that to me, on the RO125, that's a big issue. The second one is balance. Like I said, this thing is going to work your tail off. I've tried to do it one-handed in Rotex mode, but not a lot of success. It's actually pretty ugly. But you're two-handing it, and if you're doing a large like tabletop, where I've used this on a tabletop before and got some fantastic results from using it on the tabletop. But at the end of the day, I was sore, obviously. I was wore out. And luckily, there was no real damage to the tabletop. So that's my biggest complaint with the RO125. The ES125, I have no complaints. Great random orbit sander. Since this one, they've changed the design. They're a little lower profile. But this one, I like it. It fits me. It fits my hand real well. No complaints here. The Rotex, like I said, the ticky-tacky with the power cords, the balance, and the way that it jumps. For a sander that's close to $500, I would expect a little smoother operation out of it. The quote-unquote German engineering, I would like to, just have a smoother experience when I'm trying to sand instead of this thing jumping and taking off. Now, as far as the whole Festool system, just a little disclaimer here: no tool company is sponsoring me to do this. I don't take the badging off of my tools in my videos. It's just something that I don't know. Maybe I'm not as sensitive as I should be to that, but I want to make sure that the tools that I do my reviews on, I've had these for 2 or 3 years. I've used them for 2 or 3 years. Okay, everybody knows Festool. Everybody who hasn't had their head in the ground knows something about. They've heard something about Festool. The ease of the use with the T-lock containers, and how everything works as a system. I don't need to harp on that. I just want to give some good information on this sander, how it works, this sander, how it works, and my experiences with it, and help those of you out there that may be contemplating buying these, so you have a little bit of a better informed decision with these. As far as any additional information on this, I'll have links down in the description, and also, as the way everybody closes out their videos, smash the like button, subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and I'll try to answer them through the course of the days. And as I do my next video over the, you can probably see over here behind me some of my clamps. The next round will be clamps. So until next time, thanks for tuning in. See you later.